I don't, but I know Craig has been talking to me about going to In-N-Out Burger since we landed. I don't have a position, and as I was logging on, I could hear you guys talking about Craig saying he's not a North Carolina guy. So as far as cookouts and everything else, but I don't have one, and as you know, Luke, when you get a little older, it's hard, man, to eat that type of food and then get it off like that. So I'm gonna stay away from it.
Yeah, in and out, I make an exception for.
Gary, and Tony understand. We're all on the same page. Except for Tony, he can eat whatever he wants to. He don't put any weight on.
All right, guys, we'll get it started. Jonas couldn't be on here, so he actually sent me a question to ask. So I'll ask the first question for Jonas. Coach, he wants to know how much of success in the NIT is about the right mindset, wanting to be there, excited about the opportunity to play, etc.
Well, I think certainly that's a big picture for everyone. You know, you have two segments of teams that obviously want to play and postseason and play. One who, when you get to the NIT, a team that's just excited to be there, didn't know if they were going to make the tournament, but happy to be there. And you have teams who are really let down because they didn't end the tournament. From what I've seen with our guys the last couple of days, I see excitement. I see guys that want to play. I understand. We've talked about this. We're blessed to be one of 84 teams left playing in our season, and I think that's important. When you look around that, you know, we have three segment of guys on our team. You know, one of them being the seniors. Those two guys obviously getting the chance to play, and then you have a middle segment with Jericho and Manny, and then the bulk of our team are freshmen. And so for us, it's really the experience of getting those guys have to have an opportunity to play. When you look at us, I think we played 23 games this year. We would normally play 31. And so when you look at that, we missed 8 games. And so for us, it's a little bit of everything, giving our seniors a chance to play, guys some an opportunity to play, and really for our young guys being able to get the experience of playing in postseason.
Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, and Kevin, on that note, especially with the young guys, do you have any concrete sort of goals or things that you really want them to get out of this experience that you've already talked to them about? You know, what kind of is your goals for those kids in this tournament?
Yeah, Luke, that's a good question. You know, I want those guys to grow, and it's weird, just from a week ago playing in the ACC tournament. That was their first ACC tournament. And so people don't understand that it's difficult for a freshman. You know, seniors typically get you to advance in any tournament situation, or upperclassmen. And I just want to see growth. I didn't think any of those guys played great against Syracuse. Not that I thought they were bad, but they played as though they were young guys. And so I want to see the growth because as we move forward, as we advance, you want to see that. So the next opportunity that they have next year to be able to play in some postseason, whether it becomes the ACC tournament or never been through. And so with these guys, it's new to them. And so I just want them to grow from even what they did at the one game we played in the ACC tournament.
Go ahead, JB.
Hey, Coach, appreciate you taking out the time. I just have a simple question in regards to how you can use the NIT when it comes to recruiting.
Well, I think it's important that you understand that it's a lot of teams not playing. I don't know what the exact number of Division I want to say, and I'm guessing on this 353 teams. And as we talked about, 84 teams are still playing. And then people get a chance to still watch us play on television on Thursday, and to see, you know, the system that we play, to see how we, you know, I interact with our guys more so than anything. So I think I think anytime you're playing, I've said this all along, we were fortunate to even have a chance to play this year. We didn't even know if we were going to play a full season. We didn't know if we were going to play 1 or 2 games. And then we ended up getting the majority of the games in, and then obviously playing in the ACC tournament and us playing in NIT. So I think that helps with recruiting, knowing that your team has a chance to play in some postseason.
Go ahead, Justin.
Coach, when I asked you about the NIT after the ACC tournament.
Hey, just so you guys know, too, I'm sorry, Justin, this is not a beer. This is water in a can, just so everybody wouldn't.
It looked like an old toughie, Coach.
I know it, but I just want to make sure that I don't even drink, so you know that. I don't need anybody reporting. Coach had a nice beer up in Texas. This is a water.
Fair enough. Well,
I'm sorry, Justin. Go ahead.
No problem. I was going to ask you about, after the ACC tournament, you said you were unsure whether or not you'd go to the NIT. There's some things to talk about. So could you kind of walk us through what those discussions were like once you got back to Raleigh and what led to your decision to accept an NIT bid?
Yeah, so we had a day off when we got back. And, I just wanted those guys just to get away from the tournament. I didn't want to have a conversation with anyone until the next day, the day after the tournament, second day after we got back. And we just really, I had a good talk with Jericho Helms and DJ Funderburg and Manny Bates and Braxton Beverly. And those were the guys who, who've had the biggest voice in the locker room, this entire year, obviously, especially since Devin wasn't around. And I wanted to get a feel or a temperature for those guys, what they thought about advancing. We talked about, hey, there's a possibility if we were fortunate enough to get picked to play into the NCAA, we're excited. But will there be the same excitement if it's not the NCAA? And all four of those guys actually said yes. And I doubled back with them 2 days later just to make sure. And I did it individually because I didn't want to do it as a group because I didn't want those guys to think that, I didn't want the pressure to come from me or them to hear how I felt about it. And each one of those guys said yes. And then I did a Zoom actually after that to put all three of those guys, DJ wasn't available at that time, to get them back on just to make sure we were still on the same page before we said yes.
And Coach, as a quick follow-up, the last NIT champion being Texas. Fast forward 2 years, they win the Big 12 tournament, and they're a 3 seed in the NCAA. Do you think there's a difference between postseason experience and regular season experience? And is this something that could help the program grow to where it really wants to be in the coming years?
In our case, I do, because we have so many young guys. If we were taking a bunch of seniors and playing in the NIT, I'm not sure that would help us in the following year. But we have so many. Our roster shifted from older guys with Thomas Allen and Devin Daniels to without having those guys. Now, I think it could certainly pay off. I think having the opportunity just to experience it and be able to play and try to advance in the postseason, I think it helps your program moving forward.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Brett.
Brad, you were stuck.
Yeah.
So if you asked a question, we didn't hear you, and I think you're muted.
I thought you were stuck too. So anyway, I'm back. So after the Syracuse game, you talked about the season and the way the season ended.
Greg, I'm not getting him.
Hey, Andrew, go ahead.
Kevin, I don't believe that Davidson is a team that you guys have had a chance to play in your tenure. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but how exciting is that to get to play an in-state opponent like that in a postseason tournament like this?
Well, it's a great team, tremendously coached. He's done a tremendous job with his team for as many years as anyone can remember. And, they obviously have went from one conference to a really unbelievable conference in Atlantic 10. And it says a lot about that conference because it tells you how many teams are playing in postseason, whether it's the NCAA or the NIT. But it's excitement. I joke with someone, actually, I take this back. My wife, Georgette, joked, man, we don't even have to go all the way to Dallas for the first round game. Why don't we just call them and play a neutral court game somewhere and then, report that one and then advance on or, whatever happens. And so I think it's cool. They've got a really good basketball team. Everyone who I've spoken to has talked about, they think that they're one of the best teams, or if not the best team in the Atlantic 10 this year. But, they've had pauses that, certainly didn't work in their favor. just as everyone else has. And it's a really tough team. It's a tough opponent, but I'm excited about having a chance to play it.
Go ahead, Mark.
Kevin, kind of building off Justin's question about the decision to play, did you have to get any kind of assurances from the NIT about how this was going to be facilitated, that you felt comfortable bringing your guys down there?
Yeah, I just, we were having conversations, Mark, back and forth. Our administrators were about what the NIT looked like this year. If you guys remember at the end of Syracuse game, one of the questions I asked is, I want to know how it's going to be. I wanted to make sure that it was going to be a first-class experience for our guys. I wanted to make sure that it was going to be ran correctly. And, everything that we asked, they checked the box about. We were excited about it. It's going to be the same tournament that it's been before, except it's at a neutral court and it's less teams. And when you look at the field, when you look at those 16 teams, at some point, all 16 of those teams, including us, were on the board somewhere for the NCAA. So it's a really good tournament. It actually, you could make the argument it's a little bit stronger than it's been in the past, because some of the smaller schools that would have been, that won the regular season that didn't win that tournament are not here. So it's really a lot of really good basketball teams.
Okay, Brett.
Let's try this again. Kevin, after the Syracuse game, you said you didn't want the season to be defined by that one game, that one performance, since you finished so strong. How important is it to get another opportunity, especially going into the off season and kind of the momentum going into the training and everything, to have a better taste in your mouth when it's
not going to define this is the most challenging season as a player or a coach probably in the history of basketball. And that's just not me saying that. You can talk to anybody around the country. And so, Brett, I'm not going to be disappointed in these kids and what the results of the game is. I'm always, if we don't play hard, as a coach, I'm one of those guys disappointed about that, and we don't give great effort, which I haven't seen. What we went through this year was unbelievable, and the turnaround that we've had in our season is probably the best that I've been around. I don't know that I've had a team that was down and out to be able to string together 5 games in a row, and majority of them, most of them being on the road, to get us where we are right now. We wasn't talked about even possibly being in NIT when we were 8-9 and 4-8. And so I'm just blessed. A lot of coaches decided at the end of the year, it's been such a long year, that they wanted to pack their uniforms up, hug their kids, and move on and just prepare for next year. Well, we put ourselves in a situation where, these guys wasn't there yet. They were, excited about playing. They liked what we done at the end. And whatever happens here, our goal is obviously to come out and play as well as we can and try to win an NIT championship. But whatever happens in this tournament will not damper the fight that these guys have given me the entire year, and a year where it was easy for us just to say, man, we could lay down and not play.
Thanks, and thanks for your patience.
Thank you. I'm glad, hey, Brad, I'm glad it worked out. We got to take care of you with that internet. I don't know what it is, but I'm glad it worked out. We'll get you.
I'm sure if there's a problem with technology, it's going to happen to me. So, can I tell you?
No, if it's a problem with technology, it's going to happen with Gary Haynes, just so you know.
All right, Coach. I think that's it.
All right, guys. Y'all enjoy. What's the weather back at home? I'm in Dallas, so it's different. Somebody give me some updates.
We got storms coming tomorrow. They're talking about tornadoes and everything.
Yeah,
man.
about to get real ugly.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
They're
fast.
right. Yeah, so I woke up this morning and it was raining really, really hard. And then I would say 30 minutes after I heard the hard raining, it was sunny outside. So it looks great. We got up this morning and we took another test just to make sure and waiting on results. So just to give y'all an update what's going on here. And I appreciate all you guys. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for having interest to talk to us.
Thank you, Coach. And I think that's the storm that's coming our way tomorrow, the storm that you guys just had. That's coming.